Mira had always believed space was full of silence. To her, silence was not empty. It was heavy and alive, carrying a weight that pressed against the walls of any ship that dared to travel into the dark. She worked as a systems technician on the supply vessel Aurora, a ship not famous for speed or beauty but for reliability. Every month it carried crates of tools, food, and medicine to small research stations orbiting the cold moons far from Earth. The journey to Station 12 should have been simple. The outpost was small, built on a rocky moon that had no atmosphere, only a crust of dust and long shadows. The scientists who lived there studied strange energy waves that came from the gas giant nearby. Mira expected to unload supplies, run routine checks, and return home. Yet from the moment she stepped into the station, she felt something unusual. The station's hallways were darker than normal. The lights flickered now and then as if the systems had been stretched too thin. The air smelled faintly of metal and ozone. Mira's boots echoed on the floor as she followed the commander of the outpost, a tall man named Aaron, through narrow corridors. "We have been short on power for weeks," Aaron explained. "Strange pulses keep draining our storage units. We do not know the cause. The scientists are working night and day." Mira nodded politely, but her attention drifted. She felt a faint hum in the walls, a vibration that seemed to rise from the metal itself. She brushed her arm against the wall as she walked and thought she felt a heartbeat, though she told herself it was only machinery. Later that night, the hum grew louder. Mira had finished her maintenance checks and tried to rest in the guest quarters, but the low vibration would not let her sleep. She walked out into the corridor curious and noticed the lights had gone dim again. Then all at once the power cut out completely. Emergency lamps glowed red and the station became a place of shadows. She heard footsteps. Not heavy, confident steps of a crew member, but light and quick, like a child running. Mira frowned. There were no children on the station. She followed the sound, her hand brushing the wall for guidance. The air felt warmer the deeper she went. Then she saw her. At the end of the corridor stood a figure no taller than Mira's shoulder. The being's skin shimmered faintly, not glowing, but reflecting the red emergency light in unusual ways. Her eyes were wide, black with tiny flecks of silver, and her movements were cautious but graceful. She looked like a young girl, though not human. Her face carried delicate lines as if someone had painted patterns of a forgotten script upon her skin. Mira froze. The girl tilted her head, watching her, and then stepped closer. She raised one hand, thin fingers curling in a gentle wave. Mira should have called for security, but something in those silver-flecked eyes stopped her. Instead, she whispered, "Who are you?" The alien girl did not answer in words. She stepped closer still, until only a breath of space remained between them. Then she reached for Mira's arm. Mira flinched at first, but the touch was soft, almost weightless. The girl traced a line with her fingertip along Mira's forearm. Where she touched, a trail of silver pigment appeared, as if her skin carried its own ink. Mira watched in astonishment as the girl drew curved shapes and crossing lines. They were symbols unlike any language Mira had seen. The marks shimmered faintly, catching the red light of the lamps. They felt warm, almost alive against her skin. Mira wanted to pull away, but curiosity held her still. When the girl finished, she pressed her palm over the symbols and whispered in broken human speech, "Now you are one of us too." The words made Mira shiver. She wanted to ask 100 questions, but before she could speak, the lights returned to full brightness. The hum in the walls faded. The girl stepped back quickly, her eyes darting with fear, and then ran down the corridor. Mira chased after her, but when she turned the corner, the girl was gone. For the rest of the night, Mira stared at the marks on her arm. They did not wash off. Water only made them shine brighter, as if the pigment had sunk beneath her skin. She covered them with her sleeve and tried to act normal, but inside her chest, her heart pounded with questions. The next morning, Mira joined the scientists for a meal. The dining hall was filled with tired faces. Most of the crew spoke quietly about failing power cells and delayed reports to Earth. Mira sat beside Sam, a linguist who had traveled with her on the Aurora. He was kind and curious, always scribbling notes in a small pad. Mira trusted him more than most. "You look distracted," Sam said between bites of dried fruit. "Did you sleep badly?" Mira hesitated, then pulled her sleeve back just enough to reveal the faint shimmer of the symbols. Sam leaned closer, eyes widening. "Where did you get that?" Mira whispered. "I saw someone. A girl, not human. She drew this on me." Sam stared at the marks as if they were treasure. "Symbols. Not random. Look, the curves repeat. This might be a language. Do not tell the others yet, Mira warned. They will want to lock her away, study her like a specimen. She is more than that. Sam nodded slowly. You are right. But Mira, if this is real, Earth must know. Imagine, an alien language, a direct link. Mira shook her head. Not yet. Let me understand it first. As the days passed, Mira noticed strange changes. When she walked near the power conduits, the symbols on her arm grew warm, as if reacting to the energy. She also began to hear faint tones in the humming of the walls, like hidden music beneath the noise. Once, when she closed her eyes, she could almost guess when the lights would flicker. It frightened her, but it also filled her with wonder. One evening, she saw the girl again. This time, the alien waited for her near the observation window, where the gas giant loomed like a storm-filled sky. The girl raised her hand in greeting. Mira stepped forward, careful not to startle her. My name is Mira, she said softly. Can you say your name? The girl touched her chest and said, Nia. Mira smiled. Nia, I want to understand. These symbols, what do they mean? Nia tilted her head, then took Mira's hand and traced one of the marks. She tapped her own chest, then pointed to Mira's chest. Together, she said. Then she traced another mark and touched the window, pointing to the stormy planet. Listen. Mira did not understand everything, but she felt the meaning. The marks were not only language. They were bonds, connections, perhaps even keys to sensing the universe in new ways. They met several more times in secret. Nia taught Mira a few more symbols, each one carefully drawn. Sam joined once, watching silently, his notebook forgotten in his lap. He whispered later, She is teaching you, Mira, not just marks. She is giving you entry into her people. But not everyone remained unaware. Commander Aaron grew suspicious. He noticed Mira's absences, the way Sam's notes grew thicker, the strange glow of the symbols. One night he confronted her. Who have you been meeting? He asked sharply. What is on your arm? Mira hesitated but held her ground. She is not dangerous. She wants to share something with us. Aaron's eyes hardened. You should have reported this immediately. Do you realize what this means? Earth must be informed. The authorities will decide. Mira felt a chill. She thought of Nia's eyes, the trust in her gentle touch. If Earth takes her away, they will never listen to her. They will use her. Aaron crossed his arms. You are letting emotion cloud your duty. This is bigger than you. That night, Mira returned to her quarters with heavy steps. She looked at the silver marks shining softly under the light. She remembered Nia's words. Now you are one of us too. Mira wondered what choice she truly had. Was she a messenger, a protector, or only a carrier of something beyond her control? The silence of space pressed against the station again, and in that silence Mira knew one thing. She could not betray the girl who had trusted her. Mira woke up early the next morning, her eyes heavy but her mind restless. She had dreamed of the symbols again. In her dream, the silver marks glowed so brightly that they filled entire corridors with light. The light spread across walls, machines, and even the stars outside. When she opened her eyes, she half expected to still see it. Instead, the marks lay quietly on her arm, faint but steady as if they were waiting. She dressed quickly and made her way to the observation deck. She hoped to see Nia again, but the deck was empty. The gas giant below swirled with storms, its clouds stretching like ribbons across its endless surface. Mira pressed her hand to the window. For a moment, she thought she could feel a soft vibration in the glass, like a hum traveling from the planet to her arm. Sam found her there. He carried his small notebook, as always, and gave her a careful smile. You saw her again, didn't you? He asked quietly. Mira nodded. Nia, that is her name. She gave me these symbols, Sam. They mean something important. I think they are more than just writing. Sam's eyes lit up. He was always eager for discovery. Then we must try to decode them. Words, sounds, patterns, it all begins with repetition. Did she say anything new? She said one word clearly, Mira answered. Together. And she pointed to the storm. I think she wanted me to listen. Sam frowned thoughtfully. He flipped open his notebook and began sketching. Storm signals together. Maybe it is connected. The scientists have recorded strange pulses from the gas giant for months. What if her people can hear them in ways we cannot? Mira felt a chill. The thought seemed right. The marks were not just for communication between people. They might also be a key to sensing the universe itself. Before she could reply, Commander Aaron entered the deck. His eyes immediately locked onto Mira's covered arm. "You two seem busy," he said in a tone that carried little warmth. "I hope you are not hiding anything." Mira's sleeve tugged slightly, revealing a faint shimmer of silver. Aaron's gaze sharpened. "You still have those marks. They are dangerous. You must let the medics examine them." "They are not dangerous," Mira protested. "They are part of a language. She gave them to me. She trusts me." "She?" Aaron's voice grew sharp. "You mean the alien?" "Mira, do you understand what you are saying? This is not a child's game. Earth will want answers. If the authorities hear that you are hiding contact," Sam stepped forward bravely. "Commander, please. We need to study this carefully. If the alien means no harm, rushing to restrain her will destroy any chance of trust." Aaron's jaw tightened. "Trust? Trust is earned, not given by strange symbols on skin. Report everything to me from now on. No more secrets." He turned sharply and left the deck, his boot striking the floor like a warning. Mira and Sam exchanged uneasy looks. The commander would not let this matter rest. That evening, Mira returned to her quarters. She sat on her bed and traced the marks with her finger. They seemed to shimmer in response. Suddenly, the hum returned louder this time. It was not coming from the walls, it was coming from her arm. She pressed her ear close and heard a faint tone like a low musical note. It rose and fell, steady as breath, then a soft knock on her door. Mira jumped. She opened it and found Nia standing there, eyes wide and nervous. The alien girl must have slipped past the guards again. Mira quickly pulled her inside. "You should not be here," Mira whispered, though she felt relief at seeing her. Nia looked around the room, then touched Mira's arm gently. The marks glowed stronger. Nia smiled faintly and whispered, "Listen." Mira closed her eyes. The tone inside her arm grew clearer. She felt it spread through her chest, then into her mind like ripples across water. For a brief moment, she sensed not just sound but meaning, a pull toward belonging, a sense of connection that words could not explain. When she opened her eyes, she gasped. "I heard it," she whispered. "I felt something." Nia nodded eagerly. "Together," she repeated, tapping the symbols. Then she pointed toward the window and the storms outside. "Listen." Mira realized the marks were tuning her senses, allowing her to hear something hidden in the storm. She wanted Sam to experience it too. He would know how to describe it, how to map it. The next day, she secretly brought Sam to Nia. They met in a storage chamber far from the main hallways. Nia greeted them with shy eyes, but she seemed glad Mira had brought a friend. Sam watched closely as Nia touched Mira's arm, then turned to him. She reached for his hand, hesitated, then drew a single symbol across his skin. The silver pigment appeared again, faint but unmistakable. Sam gasped. "I feel warmth." "What is this?" Nia tapped his chest gently. "Together." Moments later, Sam's expression changed. He closed his eyes and tilted his head. "I hear it too," he whispered. "Like tones buried under silence. It is music, but also information, patterns, waves." Mira smiled. "Now you understand." For hours they sat with Nia, sketching the symbols, listening, and trying to repeat what they felt. Sam noticed that when Mira and he focused together, their sense of the tones became stronger, as if the marks connected them. But danger was close. While they were practicing, Aaron discovered that power readings from the station had changed again. He traced the surge to the storage chamber. When he arrived, he found the three of them together. "What is this?" Aaron barked. His eyes narrowed at Nia. "So it is true. You are keeping her here like a secret guest. Do you not realize what you risk?" Nia shrank back, but Mira stood firm. "She is not dangerous, Commander. She is trying to help us. These symbols," she held out her arm, "they connect us to something greater." Aaron shook his head. "You have been deceived. Whatever she is doing to you, it is not safe. I will have her restrained and sent back to Earth for study." "No," Mira said firmly. "If you do that, you will lose her trust forever. She came here willingly. She is teaching us." "Commander, for once try to listen instead of control." Sam stepped beside her. "Please, Commander. We must not treat the first being to share knowledge with us as a prisoner. Think of what this means for humanity. Cooperation, not chains." Aaron stared at them, torn between duty and doubt. His authority demanded order, but something in Mira's voice made him pause. At last he growled, "Fine, but you report everything. One mistake and she goes under guard." He left, slamming the door. Nia's eyes shimmered with worry, but Mira placed a hand on her shoulder. Do not fear. We will protect you, and we will learn. From then on, their lessons grew deeper. Nia showed them more symbols, each carrying meaning beyond words. One mark allowed them to anticipate each other's movements during small tasks, as if thought passed without speech. Another made them sense changes in machines before alarms sounded. Mira and Sam began to realize the truth. The marks were not only language. They were keys to belonging, tools to link minds across barriers. They gave humans a taste of shared perception. Late one night after a long lesson, Mira looked at Nia and asked, "Why me? Why did you choose me first?" Nia placed a hand over Mira's heart and whispered, "Because you listen." The words filled Mira with quiet strength. She understood now. The marks were not a weapon, not a trap. They were an invitation, and she had accepted. Life on the station began to change after Mira and Sam carried the marks. The scientists noticed the difference first. Mira seemed to finish her repair work faster, often solving problems before alarms even sounded. Sam became more focused, his notes sharper and his translations more accurate than ever before. What surprised everyone most was how Mira and Sam worked together. Without speaking, they often reached for the same tool, made the same correction, or finished each other's thoughts. Some of the crew whispered that it was strange, maybe unnatural. Others felt curious. A medic named Lena asked Mira privately, "Are the symbols safe?" "You look well, but we need to be sure." "They are safe," Mira replied. "They do not harm. They help us listen." Lena was cautious but not dismissive. She had seen how Mira had predicted a cooling unit failure minutes before it occurred. If the marks could strengthen perception, then maybe they could save lives. Still, fear spread easily in close quarters. Commander Aaron remained suspicious. He allowed Mira and Sam to continue meeting Nia, but his patience was thin. He wanted results he could measure, reports he could send to Earth. He wanted proof that would justify keeping Nia alive instead of locked away. Meanwhile, Nia grew less shy. She no longer hid only in dark corners. With Mira by her side, she stepped into the laboratory, studying the glowing screens and humming machines with wide-eyed wonder. The scientists stared at her but kept their distance. She looked fragile, yet there was strength in her gaze. One evening, Mira, Sam, Lena, and Aaron the engineer gathered with Nia in the observation hall. The great window stretched above them, revealing the swirling storms of the gas giant. Nia sat cross-legged on the floor and beckoned them closer. "She wants to teach," Mira explained. Nia drew new symbols in the air with her finger. The shapes glowed faintly, then faded. Mira copied them on her arm, and the silver lines appeared again as if inked from within her skin. Sam tried as well, and soon his arm carried a second set of marks. Lena hesitated but allowed Nia to draw one small curve on her wrist. Warmth spread through Lena's arm. She gasped softly. "It feels alive." Nia nodded and touched her own chest. "Together," she said. For the next hours, Nia guided them through exercises. She pointed to objects in the room, then made symbols on their arms. Slowly, Mira and Sam understood that each mark was not just a word but also a sense, a way of tuning perception. One mark made them notice rhythm. They could hear patterns in the hum of machines, in the pulse of the storm outside. Another made them notice emotion. When Lena frowned in concentration, Mira felt it before seeing it. When Aaron's thoughts raced, Sam sensed the rush even without words. "It is like a net between us," Lena whispered. "Invisible but real." Aaron, usually quiet, added, "If we work like this in the engine room, nothing will break without us knowing. We could prevent disasters before they happen." The idea spread quickly. The crew began small trials, using the marks during daily work. 2 engineers repaired a failing circuit without speaking, each moving as if guided by one plan. A team in the greenhouse solved a nutrient problem by combining their ideas instantly instead of arguing for hours. Productivity rose and tension eased, yet not everyone welcomed it. Some crew members avoided Mira and the others, whispering that they were no longer fully human. "They look at each other like they share secrets," one complained. "It is unnatural to know someone's thoughts without words." Commander Aaron saw the division forming. He called Mira into his office. His voice was stern. "You have created a faction. Some of the crew believe you are leading us into danger." "I am not leading," Mira said calmly. "I am learning. Nia is showing us how to listen better." "That is all," Aaron leaned forward. "Better listening or not, Earth will not like it." They will see soldiers who cannot be commanded, workers who act without orders. They will ask if you are loyal to humans or to her. Mira met his gaze. We are still human, Commander. We have not lost ourselves. We have only added something new. Aaron was silent for a long moment. At last he said, then prove it. The station systems are failing again. The power fluctuations are stronger. If your marks can help, now is the time. The test came sooner than expected. A sudden storm on the gas giant released waves of radiation that battered the station's shields. Lights flickered. Consoles sparked. The hum of failing circuits roared in every corridor. Alarms rang as oxygen levels dropped. Shields at half strength, shouted Aaron from the control room. If they fall further, we cannot survive. The crew rushed to their stations, fear in their eyes. Mira, Sam, Lena, and Aaron touched their marks. Warmth spread through them, linking their senses. Without hesitation, they began to work together. Reroute the current, Mira said, already moving toward the main console. Bypass the regulator, Aaron added, reaching for the right panel before Mira even explained. I will stabilize the coolant, Lena shouted, already preparing the valves. Sam monitored the energy waves, his voice calm and precise. The storm pulse rises every 30 seconds. Time your actions with the rhythm. It felt like a dance, each movement flowing into the next. The crew watched in awe as the four moved with perfect coordination. Sparks died out. Circuits steadied. The shields rose back to full strength. Within minutes, the danger passed. Silence fell. The alarms faded, leaving only the steady hum of machines. The crew erupted in cheers, relief flooding through the hall. For the first time, even the doubters saw the power of the marks. Commander Aaron stood with arms crossed, but his eyes betrayed his respect. You saved the station, he admitted. Without you, we would have lost everything. Mira looked to Nia, who stood quietly near the window, silver eyes reflecting the storm outside. Nia said nothing, but Mira felt her pride. Word spread quickly through the outpost. The crew now viewed Nia not as a threat, but as a teacher. Many wanted to learn the marks themselves. They asked Mira and Sam to guide them. Some hesitated, fearing loss of self, but curiosity and hope began to outweigh fear. The station became a place of experiments. Groups practiced working with the marks, repairing machines, cooking meals, even playing games without words. Mistakes happened, but each failure taught them more about balance. They learned to separate personal thoughts from shared signals, to respect boundaries within the net of connection. One evening, Mira asked Nia directly, "Why share this with us?" "Why now?" Nia's answer was slow but clear. "My people, we listen, we belong. Long ago we chose silence only among ourselves. We stopped reaching outward. We grew safe but small. You are different. You reach outward always. You are many voices. If we give you our marks, maybe you will grow without losing your own sound." Mira felt a weight in those words. The marks were not just gifts. They were trust, and they carried responsibility. Humans could use them for peace and cooperation, but also for control if they were careless. That night, Mira could not sleep. She stood at the window, staring at the storm below. She touched the symbols on her arm and whispered, "We must choose wisely." The days that followed the storm changed Station 12 forever. Word of the successful repair spread not only within the outpost but also through transmissions sent back toward Earth. The reports described how a handful of crew members, marked with strange symbols from an alien girl, had worked with seamless coordination to save the station. To many on Earth, it sounded like hope. To others, it sounded like danger. Inside the station, curiosity grew. More volunteers asked to receive marks from Nia. Some were hesitant at first, worried that they might lose themselves, but the memory of the storm was still fresh. They knew the marks had saved their lives. Mira, Sam, Lena, and Aaron became guides, helping others adjust to the new sense of shared perception. Life took on a new rhythm. Crew members who carried the marks often worked in teams, predicting each other's movements, avoiding mistakes before they happened. The hydroponics lab flourished under their care. Repairs that once took days were finished in hours. The atmosphere on the station grew lighter, filled with cautious optimism. Yet beneath the surface, tension simmered. Not everyone trusted the change. A few crew members refused to take the marks and spoke of their fears openly. "We are not machines," one argued. "We should not be linked like wires. Humanity was built on independence, on choice." Commander Aaron listened to their concerns carefully. He understood both sides. The marks had saved the station, but they also introduced something Earth had never known before, a new way of being human. The debate came to a head during a scheduled transmission with Earth's representatives. A group of officials appeared on the main screen, their faces stern and serious. The lead representative, a woman with sharp eyes named Director Hale, wasted no time. "We have read your reports, Commander Aaron," she said. "You have confirmed contact with an alien being and admitted that some of your crew have allowed themselves to be altered. This is highly irregular. Explain why you have not restrained the alien and sent her back for study." Aaron glanced toward Mira, then back at the screen. "Because she is not a threat. She saved us. The marks she shares improve our ability to work and think together. We are alive because of her." Director Hale's voice hardened. "That is not your decision to make. Humanity must act with caution. If these marks spread without control, we risk losing our identity. Your duty is to secure the alien and return her for examination." Mira could no longer stay silent. She stepped forward. "With respect, Director, you are wrong. Nia is not a subject to be tested. She is a teacher. She chose to share her gift with us, and she trusted us. If we betray that trust, we lose something greater than safety. We lose the chance to grow." The officials exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Finally, Director Hale said, "We will send a transport ship to collect the alien. Until then, Commander, do not allow her to spread these marks further." The screen went dark. The command room fell silent. Aaron's jaw tightened, but he did not speak. Mira felt a surge of anger. She turned to him. "You cannot allow this. If they take her, they will never listen. They will cut her apart and call it research." Aaron raised a hand to calm her. "I know what they might do. But Earth has spoken. Disobeying them will bring punishment for all of us." Sam stepped forward. "Then we must choose. Do we obey orders and give up everything Nia has offered, or do we protect her and risk Earth's wrath?" It was a choice none of them wanted to face. That night, Mira walked with Nia through the quiet halls. The alien girl seemed to understand even without words. She touched Mira's arm and drew a new symbol. This one was shaped like a spiral, curling inward then outward. "What does it mean?" Mira asked softly. Nia smiled faintly. "Balance." Mira traced the spiral on her own skin, feeling warmth spread through her. Balance between self and connection, between fear and trust, between Earth's authority and their own choice. The next day, the debate spread through the station. Some argued they should obey Earth and surrender Nia. Others insisted they should resist and keep learning from her. The air grew tense with whispered arguments in corridors and heated discussions in the mess hall. Lena spoke during one gathering. "We must not treat this as a disease to be cured. It is a choice. Each person should decide for themselves whether to carry the marks. That is what makes us human, choice." Her words struck a chord. Many nodded in agreement, but a few remained firm. "Choice is one thing," a technician replied. "But what happens when whole teams use the marks and the rest of us are left out? We will become divided." The worry was real. Mira realized that integration could not be forced. If the marks became a requirement, humanity would lose the very freedom Nia admired in them. Days later, another storm struck the gas giant. The energy waves battered the station harder than before. The shields shook and the power grid flickered dangerously. Teams rushed to stabilize the systems. Those with marks moved quickly, coordinating without words. Those without marks struggled, often falling behind or making errors. Mira saw the divide clearly. She ran from one corridor to another, helping where she could. She guided unmarked crew with spoken instructions while sharing silent understanding with those who carried marks. In the end, they survived, but not without strain. The storm left cracks in the station's hull and cracks in their unity. When the emergency passed, Aaron called for a council. He stood before the weary crew. "We cannot go on like this," he said. "The marks make us stronger, yes, but they also divide us. Earth demands obedience, but we cannot ignore what we have seen. We must find a path forward." Mira rose to speak. "The marks are not meant to replace who we are. They are meant to add to us. We must teach balance. No one should be forced to carry them, and no one should be punished for refusing. If we show Earth that we can integrate without losing our humanity, maybe they will listen." Sam added, "We must demonstrate that the marks are tools of cooperation, not control. They make us better workers, better problem solvers, but they do not erase our voices. Look at us, we still argue, still disagree, still choose. That is proof enough." The crew listened. For the first time, hope flickered across both sides of the debate. The following days became a time of practice. Mira and Nia organized lessons on balance. Those with marks learned to control their shared perception, to limit it, to set boundaries. They practiced turning the connection off during personal time and on during emergencies. Those without marks were invited to observe, to see that individuality was not lost. Nia herself joined the efforts, showing them how her people once faced the same choice. She described how full integration had made her people nearly lose their creativity, while isolation had made them fearful. Only balance had allowed them to survive. Her story touched the crew deeply. They began to understand that the marks were not an all-or-nothing path, but a chance to learn moderation. As days turned into weeks, the atmosphere on the station shifted again. The tension softened. Those with marks still worked together seamlessly, but they also respected those without marks. Everyone found a place, but the question of Earth still hung over them. The transport ship was coming. Soon they would have to decide whether to obey orders or stand against them. One evening, Mira sat with Nia by the great window. The storm clouds rolled endlessly below. Mira touched her arm and whispered, "When they come, they will want to take you away. They will not ask what you want." "What should we do?" Nia's silver-flecked eyes met hers. She whispered one word, "Choose." The choice was coming, and Mira knew it would decide not only Nia's fate but also the future of humanity's first contact with another way of belonging. The day of choice arrived. The transport ship from Earth broke through the gas giant's haze, a dark shape with bright engines cutting across the stars. Its presence carried weight. For the crew of Station 12, it was not just a ship. It was judgment from their own world. Inside the station, tension rose like a tide. Every corridor echoed with quiet footsteps, hushed voices, and anxious thoughts. Some crew packed their personal belongings, fearing punishment or reassignment. Others gathered near the docking bay, ready to argue for Nia's freedom. Mira stood among them, her marked arm glowing faintly beneath the sleeve of her uniform. She felt the spiral symbol Nia had drawn days before, balance. It gave her strength. Commander Aaron assembled the crew in the main hall. His face was stern, but his voice carried calm authority. The transport ship carries Earth's representatives. They will demand answers. We must be prepared to speak as one. Not one voice silenced, not one voice forced. Each of you has the right to speak for yourselves. The crew nodded, though unease still lingered. Some wanted peace with Earth at any cost. Others wanted to resist. But for the first time since the debate began, they agreed on one thing. They would face this together. When the transport ship docked, the airlocks hissed open. A group of officials entered, led by Director Hale herself. She looked around with sharp eyes, taking in the station's patched walls and the tired but defiant faces of the crew. "I am here to secure the alien," she said, without preamble. "You will surrender her at once. Humanity cannot risk uncontrolled influence. Our duty is to study and contain what we do not understand." Nia stood near Mira, small and quiet, her silver-flecked eyes steady. She did not flinch, though every gaze in the hall turned to her. Mira felt the urge to shield her, but knew the time for silence had passed. Mira stepped forward. Her voice was clear. "You cannot take her. She is not a specimen. She is a teacher. She gave us a gift, not a curse. The marks you fear saved this station more than once. Without them, many of us would be dead." Director Hale's eyes narrowed. "And what of your independence? What of your human identity? If these marks spread unchecked, we risk becoming something unrecognizable." Sam joined Mira, his calm presence steadying the room. "You misunderstand. The marks do not erase identity. They strengthen cooperation. We argue, we disagree, we make mistakes like any humans, but when danger strikes, we respond together. That is not the loss of humanity. That is humanity at its best." Murmurs rose among the crew. Some unmarked members added their voices, describing how they had seen the difference in those with marks. They spoke of how teamwork had saved lives. They insisted the choice must remain free, not forced by Earth or anyone else. Director Hale frowned. "Even if I believed you, Earth will not accept uncontrolled risk. If you refuse to surrender the alien, you put not only yourselves but all future stations in danger. Do you wish to bring punishment upon humanity's first outpost in this sector?" The hall grew heavy with silence. This was the moment. Mira felt Nia's hand brush against her arm. She looked down and saw a new symbol glowing faintly, 2 lines crossing, joined at the center. Connection. Mira lifted her arm high, the mark shining in the dim light. "We are not refusing Earth," she said. "We are showing Earth a new path. Nia has taught us balance. No one here is forced to carry the marks. Some of us do, some of us do not, and yet we live and work together. That is proof that humanity can choose without fear. That is proof that we can learn without losing ourselves." Her words carried through the hall. The crew stood straighter, united not by one mark but by one decision. They would not surrender Nia. Director Hale's jaw tightened. She turned to Aaron. "Commander, you are sworn to obey Earth's orders. Do you defy them?" Aaron met her gaze without hesitation. "I follow my duty. My duty is to protect this crew, this station, and the fragile chance for peace we have been given. If Earth wants to understand the truth, they must see it with their own eyes, not cut it apart in a lab." The standoff stretched long. Hale studied the faces around her, faces of people who had survived storms, fear, and uncertainty, yet stood firm together. Finally, she lowered her voice. "Very well. I will not drag her away by force. But this decision will reach Earth. You will face judgment there." Mira spoke softly but firmly. "Then let Earth judge us by the lives we saved, by the balance we keep, and by the future we choose." Hale gave no answer. She turned sharply and left with her team. The sound of their boots faded down the corridor, leaving the crew in silence. Relief swept through the hall like a wave. Some cheered, some wept quietly, and some simply stood in thought. They had made their choice, and it was not without risk, but it was theirs. In the weeks that followed, life on Station 12 settled into a new rhythm. Earth did not send soldiers or destroyers. Instead, they sent questions. Reports were requested, recordings analyzed, testimonies shared. A debate grew back on Earth. Some demanded the marks be banned, while others saw hope in them. Meanwhile, on the station, the lessons of balance continued. Mira taught new arrivals how to use the marks carefully. Sam developed a curriculum of exercises, blending human logic with the shared perception of the symbols. Aaron used the network to design safer systems, while Lena guided teams through medical emergencies with greater precision. But it was not only work that changed. In their free hours, crew members began creating together. Painters combined human colors with alien patterns, filling canvases with glowing spirals and lines. Musicians played instruments while Nia sang her soft whistles, weaving sound and symbol into harmony. Even children of distant colonies visiting through transmissions began copying the marks in their sketchbooks, turning them into games. Mira watched all this with quiet pride. She often remembered Nia's first words to her. "Now you are one of us too." At the time, it had felt strange, almost frightening. But now she understood. Nia had not meant that Mira would stop being human. She had meant that Mira was no longer alone. One evening, Mira stood again by the great window with Nia at her side. The gas giant swirled below, its storms rolling in endless patterns. She thought of the storms that had once nearly destroyed them, and how the marks had carried them through. "Do you think Earth will ever accept this?" Mira asked quietly. Nia tilted her head, her eyes reflecting the stormlight. "Humans argue, they fear. But they also dream. They will see in time. Balance will grow." Mira smiled. She believed it too. Months passed. The marks spread not by force but by choice. Some colonies embraced them. Others refused. But all heard the stories of Station 12. They heard of a crew who saved themselves not by weapons or power, but by trust and connection. Years later, Mira walked through a new settlement dome on a distant world. Children played among gardens, their arms painted with playful versions of the symbols. A group of workers repaired a wall, moving in rhythm, some marked, some not, yet all working as one. She paused to watch them, her heart warm. A young boy ran up to her, his small hand holding a chalk stick. He asked shyly, "Can you show me a real symbol?" Mira knelt and let him draw on her arm. His lines were clumsy but bright with imagination. She laughed softly and drew a simple spiral in return. "This one means balance," she told him. "It reminds us that we can be strong together and still be ourselves." The boy grinned and ran back to his friends, proudly showing them the new mark. Mira stood and looked across the dome. Human voices rose in laughter. Alien songs blended in harmony, and the settlement thrived under skies that once would have seemed unreachable. Naya walked up beside her. Together they watched the children. Mira touched her arm, feeling the familiar warmth of the symbols. She whispered, A new horizon. Nia nodded, her soft smile reflecting the light. Human and more than human. The horizon stretched wide, filled with stars, storms, and endless possibilities. Humanity had chosen not fear, not control, but balance. And in that choice it had discovered a new strength. A strength born not of standing alone, but of standing together.